Dr. Sarah Chen's fingers hovered over the quantum interface panel, her breath steady, despite the weight of 3 years' research culminating in this moment. The laboratory hummed with the soft pulse of containment fields and cooling systems, each carefully calibrated to measure what she hoped would be a breakthrough in quantum consciousness interaction. Recording started, her AI assistant announced. Quantum field stabilized at .003 variance. Sarah nodded, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display, showing the quantum probability field they'd generated. It was beautiful in its complexity. Layers of potential realities shimming like oil on water, each one representing a different possible outcome of her experiment. Beginning consciousness interface in 3, 2, 1. The moment her mind connected with the quantum field through the neural interface, something went wrong. Or right. She wasn't sure which. The carefully controlled quantum field exploded into a kaleidoscope of possibilities, far beyond anything their equipment was designed to handle. Warning alarms screamed across the lab. Field containment at critical. Breach imminent. The AI's voice carried an edge of panic that shouldn't have been possible for a machine. But Sarah wasn't listening. She was too busy watching reality tear itself apart in front of her. The air split like tissue paper, revealing something that shouldn't exist, a window into what looked like the inside of a massive vessel, and through it, she saw them. Tall, crystalline beings with bodies that seemed to shift between solid and light, their expressions a mixture of shock and what she could only interpret as fear. They had been watching. All this time, they had been watching. Instead of panic, Sarah felt an odd sense of clarity. Without conscious thought, her hands moved across the interface, not fighting the quantum breach but working with it. She couldn't explain how she knew what to do, but somehow her mind grasped the torn edges of reality and began weaving them back together. Impossible, one of the crystalline beings spoke, its voice somehow in her head rather than her ears. She's manipulating raw probability without technology. The tear sealed itself under her guidance, but not before the damage was done. Their cover was blown. Within hours, reports started flooding in from around the globe. Massive ships appeared in the skies over every major city, beautiful crystalline structures that turned day into twilight with their enormous size. The alien she had glimpsed made no attempt to hide anymore. The world's governments scrambled to respond, but before panic could fully set in, a message was broadcast simultaneously to every communication device on Earth. We are the Galactic Council of Advanced Species. We have been observing humanity for centuries, measuring your development and potential. Recent events have forced us to accelerate our timeline for contact. Dr. Sarah Chen, you will serve as humanity's primary representative in the coming evaluation. The future of your species depends on what we discover. Within 24 hours, Sarah found herself standing before 12 different alien species in a chamber that defied physics. Each council member was unique. Some were energy beings, others mechanical, some biological but unlike anything Earth had imagined. Their attention focused on her with an intensity that should have been terrifying. You don't understand what you've done, the crystalline being from her first encounter spoke. What your entire species does without realizing it. Every human on your planet is a walking quantum anomaly, constantly manipulating probability fields through mere consciousness. No other species has ever demonstrated this ability without extensive technological assistance. Is that a problem? Sarah asked, standing straighter. Something in their tone suggested they weren't sharing this information out of simple scientific curiosity. It is an existential concern. Another council member, a being of pure energy, responded. Your species has developed in isolation, unaware of the power you possess. Some on this council believe you represent the greatest threat to galactic stability we have ever encountered. Others see potential. Sarah looked at each council member in turn, her scientist's mind already racing with implications. And what do you plan to do about it? That depends, the crystalline being replied, on what we discover in the coming days. Your species will be tested, evaluated not just for your abilities but for your nature. The question isn't just what humans can do. It's whether the galaxy can survive you doing it. As Sarah listened to their plans for humanity's evaluation, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something fundamental. The fear in their voices when they spoke of human potential suggested they understood the power her species possessed, but not its purpose. She had glimpsed something in that moment of quantum connection, a sense that humanity's chaos wasn't a flaw but a feature, one the universe itself might have designed. The tests were coming, but Sarah suspected they would reveal more about their examiners than they examined. Humanity was about to show the galaxy exactly what human potential really meant. The testing chamber defied human architecture, its walls shifting like liquid mercury, while maintaining perfect structural integrity. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from an observation deck as Jenny Martinez, a 16-year-old gamer from Mexico City, approached what the council called the Infinity Puzzle, a holographic construct that had stumped the galaxy's greatest minds for over 12,000 years. "This is ridiculous," Sarah muttered, watching the teenager crack her knuckles. She's a high school student, not a quantum physicist. The crystalline being beside her, who had introduced itself as Nexus, responded with what passed for amusement in its species. "Precisely. We're not testing what humans think they can do. We're testing what they do without thinking." Jenny's hands moved through the holographic interface with the casual confidence of someone who had spent countless hours mastering video games. The ancient puzzle, a metaphysical representation of quantum state collapse, responded to her movements like it was a simple mobile game. "Impossible," one of the council observers whispered as Jenny completed a sequence that should have taken years of calculation in mere seconds. "She's not even using the standard probability matrices." Because she's not calculating at all, Sarah realized, watching the girl work. She's playing. Within 45 minutes, Jenny had solved the millennium-old puzzle. Her response to this achievement was to ask if there was a harder level. But that was just the beginning. Sarah spent the next week watching similar impossibilities unfold. A kindergarten teacher named Michael Wong survived a quantum maze that should have scattered his consciousness across multiple dimensions. His explanation: "I just followed the path that felt right, like when I'm helping my kids find their way to the bathroom during nap time." Maria Patel, a retired grandmother from London, instinctively reorganized a chaos field into a stable pattern while knitting. "It's just like fixing a dropped stitch, dear," she explained to the baffled council members. Sarah began collecting data, noticing patterns that the council seemed to be deliberately ignoring. Every human subject was succeeding at tasks designed to be impossible, but not through calculation or technology. They were doing it through intuition, creativity, and what most of them called common sense. Late one night, after reviewing recordings of the tests, Sarah finally saw what the council feared. She pulled up the quantum probability readings from multiple tests, overlaying them with standard human brainwave patterns. The result was startling. "They're not separate readings," she whispered to herself. "They're the same pattern." Human consciousness wasn't just interacting with quantum fields, it was generating them. Every human thought created ripples in probability, unconsciously reshaping reality on a quantum level. What the council saw as impossible achievements were simply humans doing what they'd always done, making their own reality. The next morning, Sarah confronted Nexus with her findings. "You're not running tests to understand us. You're running tests to see if we're too dangerous to let live." The crystalline being's surface rippled with what might have been discomfort. "Your species casually violates laws of physics that we thought were immutable. Every human child is born with the ability to unconsciously manipulate probability fields that our most advanced technology can barely detect. Do you understand what that means?" "It means we're different," Sarah replied. "Not dangerous." "The two are not mutually exclusive," Nexus countered. "Already, your presence is affecting other worlds. The human test subjects we've distributed among various civilizations are causing unprecedented changes. Technology is advancing in chaotic patterns. Social structures are evolving at impossible rates. You're not just changing yourselves. You're changing everything around you. Sarah thought about Jenny solving the ancient puzzle, about Maria knitting order into chaos, about Michael navigating impossible spaces with the same care he used to guide children. Maybe that's not a bug, she suggested. Maybe it's a feature. A feature of what? Reality itself. Sarah pulled up the data she'd collected. Look at the patterns. Human consciousness doesn't violate the laws of physics. It's part of them. We're not breaking reality. We might be helping maintain it. Before Nexus could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency signals flashed in alien scripts across every surface. What's happening? Sarah demanded. Nexus's crystalline form pulsed with urgent patterns. Something is wrong with the fabric of space-time itself. We're detecting massive probability fluctuations throughout the galaxy. Ancient barriers are failing. Sarah watched as new data poured across the screens, her mind already making connections that the Council's computers missed. Whatever was coming, she suspected humanity's dangerous abilities might be exactly what the galaxy needed. The real test was about to begin. Alex Rodriguez never meant to revolutionize faster than light travel. He was just a construction worker from Chicago, dispatched to help build habitation units on Proxima VI as part of the cultural exchange program. Really, he was just daydreaming about how to get home faster to see his kids. The Proximan engineers found him sketching on his lunch break, crude drawings that somehow described a completely new approach to folding space. Within a week, they had a working prototype. The Council was horrified. This pattern repeated across 1,000 worlds where humans had been secretly distributed for observation. Sarah Chen collected the reports, each more remarkable than the last. A chef in the Andromeda colonies accidentally created a cure for a century-old plague while trying to replicate her grandmother's chicken soup recipe. I just added what felt right, she explained. Like my abuela taught me. A teenage artist on Centauri Prime trapped a quantum anomaly in one of his paintings. The local scientists still couldn't explain how it worked, but it stabilized a failing star system. Do you see now? Sarah challenged the Council during an emergency session. You've been thinking about this all wrong. Our chaos isn't a threat. It's catalyzing advancement everywhere we go. The Council chamber erupted in argument. Holographic displays showed the cascading effects of human presence across the galaxy. Technological breakthroughs, social evolutions, even changes in the fundamental way other species interacted with quantum fields. This is precisely what we feared, the energy being known as Luminarch declared. Your species is infecting the galaxy with chaos. No, Sarah countered, bringing up new data streams. We're infecting it with innovation. Look at the patterns. Every civilization we've contacted isn't just advancing. They're becoming more resilient, more adaptable. She highlighted specific cases: a traditionally stagnant species developing new art forms, a highly regimented culture discovering the benefits of individual creativity, a dying world finding unexpected solutions to environmental collapse. Humans aren't just probability manipulators, she explained. We're evolutionary catalysts. We don't just change things. We help systems adapt to change. The debate might have continued indefinitely if reality itself hadn't chosen that moment to intrude. The chamber's quantum sensors screamed to life, detecting massive disturbances in the space-time continuum. Multiple breaches detected, the AI announced. Unknown entities emerging from quantum subspace. The Council's screens filled with images that defied description, beings of pure probability, shifting between states of existence. Where they emerge, ordered systems began to break down. Technology failed. Physics itself seemed to unravel. The quantum striders, Nexus whispered, its crystalline form dimming with what might have been fear. They were supposed to be extinct. What are they? Sarah demanded, watching as the entities began appearing across multiple sectors. They are why we developed ordered societies, Luminarch explained. Why we built our civilizations on predictability and control. They feed on chaos, on uncertainty. Our ancestors learned to survive by becoming beings of pure order. Sarah watched the destruction spreading across space, her mind racing. But that's not really survival, is it? You didn't adapt, you just hid. You made yourselves so rigid, so predictable that you became invisible to them. It worked for millennia. Nexus defended. Until now, Sarah pointed out. And now that they're back, all your order, all your perfect predictability is just making you easier targets. As if to prove her point, the sensors showed a Strider tearing through the Council's most advanced defense systems like they weren't there. The perfect formations, the calculated responses, all useless against beings that existed in quantum superposition. But then something unexpected happened. In the human sectors, where chaos and creativity ran free, the Striders seemed to struggle. They couldn't predict where humans would be or what they would do because humans themselves didn't know until they did it. Sarah's eyes widened as understanding dawned. You didn't find us by accident, she realized. The universe led you to us because you need us. We're not the threat to the galaxy's survival. We're its immune system. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Their perfect order had created the perfect vulnerability. And their greatest fear, humanity's chaos, might be their only hope for survival. Joe Martinez was mopping the floors of Galactic Central Station when he first encountered a quantum strider. The entity manifested as a ripple in reality, a thing that hurt the eyes to look at directly. Every alien in the vicinity froze, their advanced defense systems activating automatically. Joe just sighed, lifted his mop, and sidestepped an attack that hadn't happened yet. You're gonna make me redo this whole section, aren't you? He muttered, somehow knowing exactly where the creature would strike next. He moved through the probability field like he was dancing, each step placing him precisely where the Strider wasn't, and somehow forcing it to materialize where he just cleaned. The security footage went viral across the galaxy. A human janitor, armed with nothing but a mop and what he called 30 years of dealing with people not watching where they're walking, had done what entire defense fleets couldn't. He contained a quantum strider. Sarah Chen watched the footage for the 100th time, adding it to her growing database of human encounters with the entities. A pattern was emerging, one that defied conventional physics but made a strange kind of sense. We're natural predators, she explained to the council. Not in the physical sense, but in a quantum one. Earth's chaotic probability fields shaped our evolution. We developed not just to survive uncertainty, but to thrive on it. More reports flooded in. Lisa Wong, an artist on New Venus, trapped 3 Striders in a single painting. I just saw the spaces between their movements, she explained, like negative space in a composition. Once you see where they're not, you can sort of sketch them into being where you want them. Similar stories repeated across human-inhabited spaces. A group of kindergartners turned a Strider attack into a game of quantum tag, somehow forcing the entities to follow playground rules. A chef in the Orion colonies accidentally created a probability trap while experimenting with molecular gastronomy. Don't you see? Sarah pressed the council. We're not just reaching these solutions, we're intuiting them. Every human has this ability. We've just never had a reason to use it consciously before. The council chamber's displays showed the growing crisis. The Striders were targeting the most ordered, most technologically advanced systems first. Perfect prediction algorithms made perfect targets. Flawless defense grids fell instantly to beings that existed in multiple states simultaneously. But human spaces, those were different. Chaos proved to be the best defense against chaos. The Striders couldn't predict humans because humans couldn't predict themselves. Every human solution to the crisis was unique, personal, and completely impossible to replicate. This is why Earth developed the way it did, Sarah realized, watching new data poured in. Our entire planet is a quantum defense system. The chaos of our weather, our geology, our evolution, it all served to create beings that could naturally counter quantum entropy. You're suggesting your entire species evolved as some sort of universal immune response. Nexus asked, its crystalline form flickering with disbelief. More like quantum antibodies, Sarah corrected. Look at how we spread, how we adapt. We don't just fight chaos. We incorporate it, redirect it, transform it into something new. Every human is a probability manipulator because we had to be. The Striders aren't our enemies. They're the reason we exist. The implications staggered the Council. Humanity wasn't a threat to galactic stability. They were its defenders. Every trait that had frightened the advanced species, human unpredictability, creativity, the ability to make impossible leaps of logic, was actually part of the universe's defense mechanism. But as they debated this revelation, the Striders launched their largest attack yet. An entire sector of ordered space began to unravel as millions of the entities emerged simultaneously. They know, Sarah whispered, watching the patterns of the attack. They recognize what we are, what we mean. They're not just attacking anymore. They're trying to eliminate a threat to their existence. The galaxy's most ordered civilizations were about to become a battlefield. And humanity, the chaos factor that the Council had feared, was about to prove that sometimes the best defense against entropy is a little chaos of your own. The real question was, could the Council accept their help before it was too late? The capital city of the Centaurian Empire was a marvel of perfect order. Crystal spires arranged in mathematically precise patterns, traffic flowing in predictable streams, even the thoughts of its inhabitants regulated by quantum harmony networks. It was everything the Council valued. Predictable, controlled, safe. It fell to the Striders in less than an hour. But then something unexpected happened. A tour group of 23 humans from Earth, led by a retired schoolteacher named Margaret Wu, wandered into the chaos purely by accident. They were lost, looking for a restaurant that another tourist had recommended. "Oh my," Margaret said, watching reality fracture around them. "This won't do at all." The security cameras caught what happened next. The tourists, instead of fleeing or freezing, began acting like tourists. They took pictures. They argued about directions. They complained about the walking distance. One couple started bickering about whether they should have taken the hover train instead. The Striders couldn't handle it. The humans' chaotic probability fields, amplified by their completely mundane behaviors, created a natural defense grid. Reality stabilized around them, simply because they expected it to. Dr. Sarah Chen studied the footage with growing excitement. "This is it," she announced to the Council. "This is what we've been missing. Earth's chaotic quantum field didn't just shape our evolution. It created beings who generate stability through chaos." She brought up new data streams, correlating human brain patterns with quantum field fluctuations. "Look at this. Every human thought creates ripples in probability. But we don't just create chaos. We naturally organize it into new patterns. We're like quantum shepherds, herding possibility into reality." "Impossible," Luminart protested. "You can't create order from chaos." "Actually," Sarah countered, "that's exactly what life is. Evolution, consciousness, creativity. They're all processes of finding patterns in chaos and making something new. Humans just do it on a quantum level." The evidence was becoming undeniable. Wherever humans went, their chaotic presence actually strengthened the fabric of reality. Their unpredictability made them natural anchors against quantum entropy. "Your containment protocols," Sarah realized, looking at the Council's defensive measures. "They're not just failing. They're making things worse. By trying to suppress human chaos, you're weakening reality's natural immune system." The Council chambers erupted in debate. Screens showed more Strider attacks, spreading across the galaxy's most ordered systems. But in sectors where humans were allowed to behave naturally, reality remained stable. A group of human children playing hopscotch accidentally created a quantum barrier that repelled Striders. A street musician's improvisational jazz generated probability patterns that strengthened local spacetime. Even human arguments produced stable quantum fields. their emotional chaos somehow reinforcing reality itself. "We need to release all containment protocols," Sarah urged. "Let humans do what we naturally do, create order through chaos." "And if we lose control?" Nexus asked. "Control is what's killing you," Sarah responded. "The Striders feed on predictability. The more you try to control reality, the more vulnerable you become. Humanity's gift isn't just our chaos. It's our ability to surf it, to find new patterns in the randomness." As if to prove her point, alarms blared throughout the chamber. The Striders had launched a massive attack on Earth itself. They recognized humanity for what it was, their natural predator, evolved specifically to counter their threat to reality. The Council faced a terrible choice: maintain their grip on order and watch reality unravel, or embrace the chaos that humanity represented and hope it was enough to save them all. "Well," Sarah said, watching the Striders approach her homeworld, "at least now we know why Earth was so weird. The whole planet was a quantum defense system, creating beings who could defend reality itself. The question is, will you let us do our job?" The fate of the galaxy hung on the Council's answer, and time was running out. When the Council finally lifted the quantum containment protocols, nobody was prepared for what happened next. Humanity's latent abilities didn't just emerge, they exploded. Tom Chen, a farmer in rural Iowa with no relation to Sarah, was the first documented case. He'd been trying to develop a more drought-resistant tomato variety when he accidentally created a pocket universe in his greenhouse. The miniature cosmos was perfectly calibrated for optimal tomato growing conditions. "I just thought it'd be nice if the plants had their own little world," he explained to the hastily assembled research team. Didn't expect it to actually happen. Similar incidents began occurring worldwide. Kelly Martinez, piloting a passenger shuttle when the Striders attacked, instinctively quantum-tunneled her entire vessel through probability space. She brought all 200 passengers to safety by, in her words, taking the shortcut through the parts of space that could have been there. Dr. Sarah Chen worked tirelessly to understand and document these emerging abilities. Her lab became a clearinghouse for reports of human quantum manipulation, each more extraordinary than the last. "We're not just affecting probability anymore," she explained to the Council. "We're consciously reshaping it. Every human is becoming aware of their natural ability to surf quantum possibilities." The effects weren't always controlled. A group of teenagers at a concert accidentally created a temporal harmony that made everyone experience the same song slightly differently, each person hearing their perfect version. A frustrated office worker unknowingly generated a probability field that made all his paperwork file itself. "This is exactly what we feared," Luminarch declared, watching the chaos unfold. "Your species is rewriting the fundamental laws of reality." "No," Sarah corrected, showing new data. "We're not rewriting the laws. We're finally operating within the real ones. What you thought were fundamental laws were just training wheels. Reality is much more fluid than you imagined." But there wasn't time for lengthy debates. The Striders, sensing humanity's awakening, launched their assault on Earth. Millions of quantum entities descended on the planet, attempting to unravel the very cradle of their ancient enemy. What they found was a humanity fully coming into its power. A kindergarten teacher in Tokyo created a probability shield around her school by channeling the pure belief of her students that everything would be okay. A chef in Brazil cooked a meal so perfect it generated a quantum harmonic that drove Striders from the entire southern hemisphere. Everywhere the Striders attacked, they found humans instinctively wielding powers they hadn't known they possessed. But it wasn't just random chaos. Patterns emerged in the defense of Earth. "Look at this," Sarah pointed out to the Council. "Humans aren't just fighting back individually. We're naturally forming quantum defense grids. Every human probability field is linking with others, creating stable networks of controlled chaos." The displays showed it clearly, lines of force connecting human consciousness across the planet, each person's unique chaos harmonizing with others to create something new. A quantum immune system operating on a planetary scale. But the Striders weren't retreating. If anything, their attacks intensified. They recognized the threat that awakened humanity posed to their existence. They're not just trying to destroy us, Sarah realized, watching the patterns of their assault. They're trying to prevent something they know is coming. She studied the quantum readings, seeing how human probability fields were beginning to synchronize globally. Each person's chaos was becoming part of a larger pattern, like instruments joining a universal orchestra. "We're not just defending ourselves," she whispered. "We're about to change everything." The council watched in awe and terror as humanity approached a quantum threshold that none of their calculations had predicted. The only question was, what would emerge from this probability storm? The answer was coming, whether the galaxy was ready or not. The Striders' attack on Earth became their undoing. As millions of quantum entities descended on humanity's homeworld, they encountered something unprecedented. A species that had been unconsciously preparing for this moment for millions of years. Sandra Martinez, a data entry clerk in Mexico City, became a nexus point for probability stabilization simply by maintaining her daily routine. Her structured yet slightly chaotic work patterns created a quantum framework that naturally repelled Strider attacks. "I just like everything to be organized," she explained while unconsciously maintaining a probability field that protected half of Mexico City. "But you know how it is. Something always comes up to disrupt your plans." That combination, structure with adaptability, order with chaos, proved to be humanity's greatest weapon. All across the planet, ordinary human activities began generating extraordinary effects. A group of children playing make-believe in Central Park accidentally created a quantum reality engine, their pure imagination somehow crystallizing possibility into actuality. Office water cooler conversations generated probability matrices so complex that Striders couldn't penetrate them. Social media networks transformed into quantum computing grids, powered by human consciousness and cat memes. Dr. Sarah Chen watched it all from the council's observation platform, her mind racing to understand what she was seeing. "It's not just individual humans," she explained to the assembled alien representatives. "Look at our social structures, our networks of relationships. They're natural probability lattices." The data confirmed her theory. Human social connections formed intricate patterns in quantum space, each relationship adding another layer of stability to local reality. Family bonds, friendship networks, even casual acquaintances, all contributed to a vast, organic defense system. Your species evolved not just as individual probability manipulators. Nexus realized, its crystalline form pulsing with excitement, but as components of a larger quantum ecosystem. Exactly. Sarah brought up new displays, showing how human quantum fields naturally interlocked. "We're not just chaos generators. We're reality's immune system. Each human is like a different type of antibody, designed to respond to different threats to space-time stability." The Striders seemed to realize this too. Their attacks became more desperate, more focused. They targeted human population centers, trying to disrupt the emerging quantum defense grid. But they had underestimated human adaptability. A teenager's viral dance video accidentally created a quantum synchronization pattern that linked thousands of minds. A trending hashtag somehow generated a probability wave that strengthened reality across multiple continents. "This is why Earth developed the way it did," Sarah explained, watching humanity's natural defenses activate. "All our chaos, our creativity, our endless variety, it wasn't random. We evolved exactly as we needed to be." The council watched in amazement as ordinary humans transformed into reality's defenders. A team of office workers maintained dimensional stability through their coffee break routine. A knitting circle in Dublin somehow wove probability fields into an impenetrable defense grid. But the most remarkable transformation wasn't in the grand gestures. It was in the small ones. Every human interaction, every moment of creativity or adaptation, strengthened the fabric of reality itself. "Your species truly is unique," Luminarch admitted, watching the data streams. Not because you're more powerful or more advanced, but because you're exactly what the universe needed. Sarah nodded, but her attention was on the quantum readings. Something was building. A resonance between human consciousness and the fundamental forces of reality. The Striders' attack hadn't just awakened humanity's defensive abilities. It had triggered something deeper. We're not just fighting them, she realized, watching the patterns emerge. We're about to change everything. The universe didn't evolve us to defeat the Striders. It evolved us to transform them. As if in response to her words, the quantum readings spiked. Humanity's collective consciousness was approaching a threshold that even the Council's most advanced predictive systems couldn't map. The final phase of humanity's awakening had begun. And with it, the nature of reality itself was about to be redefined. The final battle for reality wasn't won with weapons or technology. It was won with a dance. Maria Suarez, a dance instructor in Barcelona, was leading her weekly salsa class when she noticed something odd about the Striders attacking her city. Their movements, she said later, they weren't random. They had a rhythm. That observation changed everything. Maria didn't try to fight the quantum entities. She danced with them. Her students followed her lead, and something remarkable happened. The Striders' chaotic patterns began synchronizing with the dancers' movements, their destructive energy transforming into something new. Dr. Sarah Chen recognized the significance immediately. "They're not our enemies," she announced to the Council. "They're our partners in an endless quantum dance. We just needed to learn the steps." All across Earth, humans began to understand. The Striders weren't trying to destroy reality. They were its creative force, the cosmic entropy that made evolution possible. Humanity hadn't evolved to destroy them, but to work with them, to channel their chaos into new forms of order. The transformation spread globally. A jazz band in New Orleans improvised a quantum harmony that turned Striders into music. A group of programmers accidentally coded a probability algorithm that let them debug reality itself. Children's playground games became templates for restructuring local spacetime. "Look at the pattern," Sarah urged, showing the Council the emerging data. "Humans aren't just fighting chaos. We're dancing with it. Every culture, every individual, finding their own way to transform entropy into creativity." The Council watched in amazement as humanity demonstrated its true purpose. They weren't reality's immune system. They were its artists, evolved to transform quantum chaos into new forms of order. "Your species," Nexus observed, "is a bridge between chaos and order." "We always have been," Sarah replied. "Every human creative act, every innovation, every adaptation. We've been doing this since we first evolved. We just didn't know we were doing it on a quantum level." The final phase of transformation swept across the galaxy. Humans taught other species how to surf probability, how to find patterns in chaos, how to create stability through controlled uncertainty. The Striders, once seen as destroyers, became partners in an endless dance of creation and transformation. Earth became a center for what humans called quantum choreography, the art of working with probability fields to create new forms of reality. The Council was reformed, with human members bringing their unique perspective on the balance between chaos and order. Dr. Sarah Chen established the first Quantum Dance Academy, where humans taught other species the art of probability manipulation. "The trick," she often told her students, "isn't to control chaos or resist it. It's to move with it, to let it teach you new steps." The galaxy entered a new era. The rigid order of the old Council gave way to a more dynamic stability, one that embraced change while maintaining coherence. Human chaos proved to be exactly what the universe needed, not a threat to existence, but a catalyst for its evolution. And the Striders, they became part of the dance, their ancient purpose finally understood. They weren't destroyers of reality. They were its creative force, the cosmic entropy that made evolution possible. Humanity's role wasn't to fight them, but to work with them, to transform their raw chaos into new forms of order. In the end, the human variable wasn't just about potential. It was about purpose. Humanity had evolved not to control reality, but to dance with it, to find new patterns in the chaos, to transform entropy into art. The infinite dance had begun, and every human step, every creative act, every moment of adaptation added new movements to reality's endless choreography. The universe, it turned out, had been waiting for its dancers all along, and humanity, in all its beautiful chaos, had finally taken the floor.